Deion Sanders, ESPN's $100 million megaphone, and the Alabama Storm. How Stephen A. Smith and Paul Finebaum turned up the heat on Kalen DeBoer. Introduction. A dynasty's shadow and a provocative question. In the annals of college football, few names inspire both reverence and fear quite like Nick Saban. For nearly 2 decades, Saban's Alabama Crimson Tide were not just winners, they were juggernauts. 6 national championships, 9 SEC crowns, and a legacy of discipline and dominance that reshaped the sport itself. And yet, as all dynasties do, the Saban era ended. His retirement left Alabama with a vacuum, not just of leadership but of identity. Into that void stepped Kalen DeBoer, a respected offensive mastermind from Washington who was tasked with steering Alabama into the post-Saban era. His debut season, a shaky 9-4 in 2024, the program's worst mark since 2007. For Alabama fans, 9-4 might as well have been 4-8. And for ESPN's Stephen A. Smith, it was an opportunity to stir the pot with one of the boldest, most polarizing suggestions imaginable. What if Alabama ditched Kalen DeBoer and hired Deion coach Prime Sanders? Chapter 1. The Saban Standard versus the DeBoer Transition. To understand why Stephen A.'s words reverberated like thunder, you have to understand Alabama's DNA. Nick Saban's program wasn't just about football. It was about control, precision, and relentless standards. The man once dismissed an assistant, Lane Kiffin, weeks before the national title game for not aligning with the process. He cared as much about locker room bathrooms being clean as he did about defensive formations. His philosophy built an empire. Kalen DeBoer, by contrast, is a different breed. His calling card is explosive offenses and quarterback-friendly schemes, the kind of finesse that thrived at Washington where he produced Michael Penix Jr., Rome Odunze, and a 14-1 season capped by a national title appearance. But Alabama is not Washington. And after year 1, with 4 painful losses to Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Michigan, the whispers began. Was Alabama already slipping? Chapter 2. Stephen A. Smith's Firebrand Fantasy. On August 19, 2025, during ESPN College Football with Paul Finebaum, Stephen A. Smith lit the match. He praised Sanders' turnaround at Colorado. He has shown what he can do when he has talent. He has shown an ability to recruit to get people to come to his program. Last year, when they won 8 games, it was the best season they had since 2016. Then, without hesitation, he asked the question that made DeBoer loyalists squirm. Well, just imagine if he were in Tuscaloosa. What if instead of DeBoer, he is coaching Alabama? Smith's take didn't stop there. He insisted that Sanders' arrival could restore Alabama's toughness. You know this, Paul, they miss Nick Saban. And when you don't have him, you can't have somebody that brings a finesse-style game to Alabama. That's steak and potatoes, y'all. That's steak and potatoes for breakfast. Then came the knockout line. I would not have minded at all if Alabama changed course and they brought somebody like Prime Time to Alabama. That would have been spectacular. In a few sentences, Smith had not only questioned DeBoer's fit, but dangled Sanders as the flashy alternative. Chapter 3. The ESPN Prime Connection. Why did the comments hit so hard? Because ESPN has a $100 million Prime obsession. Since Sanders arrived at Colorado, ESPN has turned him into a cultural phenomenon. Wall-to-wall coverage, highlight packages, and Prime segments on flagship shows like First Take and College Game Day. He is box office. He delivers ratings. For critics, this obsession has distorted the conversation. Sanders' 9-4 record in 2024 was a success, but was it really evidence he could step into Saban's shoes? For ESPN, nuance doesn't matter. Prime sells, and Stephen A. Smith is the loudest salesman in the room. Chapter 4. Kalen DeBoer's Tightrope. Lost in the hype is the reality of Kalen DeBoer's situation. Inherited chaos. DeBoer stepped into the impossible, following Saban. A 9-4 debut, disappointing but not catastrophic. Alabama still ranked top 25 in defense and top 30 in offense. Elite recruiting. Alabama's 2025 class is ranked number 3 nationally, loaded with blue-chip talent. Expectations: anything short of the playoff in 2025 will be labeled failure. DeBoer's challenge isn't just X's and O's, it's perception. With Stephen A. and Finebaum fueling Sanders speculation, every misstep will be magnified. Chapter 5: The Deion Sanders Dream. So what makes the Sanders to Alabama idea tantalizing? Recruiting magnet. Prime doesn't just recruit, he attracts. His charisma, NFL pedigree, and cultural cachet make him a unique weapon. Media power. Sanders makes Alabama instantly more visible than ever before. ESPN would turn Tuscaloosa into a 24/7 spectacle. Proven turnarounds. From Jackson State dominance to Colorado's revival, Prime has flipped programs quickly. But the flaws remain. Sustainability. Roster churn through transfers raises questions about long-term stability. Lost stars. Heading into 2025, Sanders no longer has Travis Hunter, Shadur Sanders, LaJohntay Wester, or Jimmy Horn Jr. Repeating success will be harder than ever. Unproven at elite level, Colorado's best finish was a bowl appearance. Alabama expects national titles. The dream is intoxicating. The reality is complicated. Chapter 6: Finebaum adds fuel. If Stephen A. Smith is theater, Paul Finebaum is the voice of SEC reality. And when Finebaum nodded to the idea, Alabama fans took notice. If DeBoer doesn't win this year, I don't have any doubt conversations like this are going to continue. For DeBoer, that was more dangerous than Stephen A.'s rant. Finebaum speaks directly to the SEC fan base and booster class. When he talks, speculation becomes momentum. Chapter 7: Florida, Florida State, and Prime's roots. While Alabama remains a flashy hypothetical, other jobs may be more realistic. Florida State, FSU Sanders' alma mater. Stephen A. even claimed he desperately wanted to go back to Florida State, but they didn't want him. If FSU struggles again under Mike Norvell, Prime to Tallahassee becomes plausible. Florida Gators, another powerhouse under scrutiny. With Prime's Florida roots, Gainesville could be a natural fit. Both programs may offer the opportunity without the insane pressure cooker of Alabama. Chapter 8: Saban's Ghost and the Future of College Football. Ultimately, this debate is about more than Sanders or DeBoer. It's about college football's identity crisis. Saban embodied the old school: discipline, defense, control. Sanders represents the new school: charisma, media, transfer portals, nil wizardry. Which path will define the next decade? Conclusion: a ticking clock in Tuscaloosa. For now, Kalen DeBoer remains Alabama's man. He has the roster, the recruiting, and the mandate to succeed. But with Stephen A. Smith and Paul Finebaum amplifying Sanders' speculation, his margin for error is razor-thin. Is Prime to Alabama realistic? Not today. But in modern college football, perception creates pressure, and pressure creates change. If DeBoer falters again in 2025, the calls won't just come from ESPN studios. They'll come from inside Tuscaloosa itself. And when they do, Deion Sanders' name will be at the top of the list. Because in college football, legends cast long shadows. And sometimes it only takes one hot take to start a fire.